Hello, everybody. Anger management is what I wanted to talk about today. And I was inspired to talk about this for a number of reasons. Number one, in my own life, personally, I've been encountering a lot of anger lately. And also globally, it feels like there's a lot of anger going around. And I recognize that if I want to see peace in the world, I need to make sure I'm emanating peace and finding peace in myself, as well as taking actions to do what I can to prevent anger from prevailing in the world. I also feel like it's really important to look at ourselves and make sure that we're not spreading anger and showing up in an angry way. And also, it's the springtime here in the northern hemisphere, and so anger naturally runs high this time of year. In Chinese medicine, this is the time of the liver and the wood element. Chinese medicine is also based on 5 elements. Interestingly, a different set of 5 elements than Ayurveda. Some of them overlap, but some are different. Wood being one of the ones that's different. And so, but I do think, there is that seasonal understanding and understanding of patterns that overlaps in both Chinese medicine and Ayurveda. And so, this is also a time of year where the liver is hot for all of us because, as I've been talking about, the liver is metabolizing the insulating layer of fat that we've built up over the winter. And so it's working extra hard to metabolize all that fat. And it also is detoxifying the body, because a lot of times toxins are stored in the fat tissue. And so as it's metabolizing this fat, it's also working on detoxification. And so that adds another thing to its plate, besides, all the other things that the liver does. Helps with our immunity, hormone regulation, creation, destruction, the overall flow of energy in the body. The liver plays a lot of important roles: digestion, filtering the blood. So the liver is hot this time of year. And as we're going to touch on a little bit later in the talk, the liver relates to anger. So, I thought, partly for myself, for my own well-being, and living up to this intention to be the change I want to see in the world and to really be peace and spread peace, I thought, let me put together some information about anger and how Ayurveda approaches working with anger and managing it. It has somewhat of a unique understanding. And so check it out. Anger is one of the primary emotions that is said to potentially disturb your stability, your homeostasis. The body, our health is based on the body being able to maintain homeostasis, being able to maintain balance. And it's always responding to outside influences that, it's got to integrate and adapt to: a change in weather, some kind of food that it's never had before, and also our emotional experiences, dealing with someone who's really hostile, or us ourselves, bringing hostility to a situation. So, anger is considered one of the major emotions that can really throw you off balance if it gets away from you. So, working with anger, managing anger, is also an important step in managing your own health, your mental health and physical health. When you dwell excessively in the 5 senses, so the 5 senses, again, being seeing, touching, tasting, smelling, and hearing. So when we're really immersed in that and focused on sensory pleasure, eating delicious food, hearing beautiful sounds, seeing beautiful things, when we're really that's our main focus. And when we're very focused on objects of the senses, basically stuff outside of ourselves, we're more likely to get attached to stuff and or to specific outcomes. I had that food and it tasted really good yesterday. It was so good. I want more of it today. If I don't get that same food, if I don't get that fix of caffeine or alcohol or marijuana or sugar or television or whatever it is, I'm going to be kind of on edge. Or if I don't get my way, if I don't get things to be how I want them to be, I'm going to be on edge. And whatever that is, it could be you want a really noble resolution. You want a really positive, supportive outcome. You don't want there to be war in the world. Gripping on to that need for control and that desired outcome that you want to see happen, gripping onto that too tightly can be the kind of can light the fire for anger. So many times passion becomes obsession, and you're so focused on the results of your actions that you're functioning from a place of ego more than from a place of stability, than of stable mind. You're coming from a place of, I want to win, I want to be right, I want to be the person who gets the last word, rather than a place of what is going to create the best outcome for all. Can I, if I acknowledge defeat or admit wrongdoing, could that be more healing than me needing to push that I'm right? So you get, and through that you kind of get into this loop of attachment and desire, and the loop kind of looks like this. I want that, and if that desire goes unfulfilled, you're like, I didn't get that. Whether that is my way or ice cream or a hug and a kiss or world peace, whatever it is. And then you get angry. I'm pissed. I didn't get my way. And sometimes folks can become obsessed with righteousness itself, with behaving in a way that is righteous and being the more noble person. Their intent may have started from a good place of, I want to be a good person, I want to set a good example in the world, but they forget the underlying spirit behind what they're saying, and they get preachy and judgmental and self-righteous. Oops. In Ayurveda, we would say that there's too much sattva. If you're familiar with the concepts of sattva, rajas, and tamas, you can have too much sattva where you just think you're better than everybody else and it's your place to judge everyone. And so if that passion for righteousness is what drives your actions, this I want to be right kind of energy, it's unlikely that you're coming from a place of mental stability, and it's unlikely that you're going to create a space of stability and harmony and homeostasis. So this can be a slippery slope toward anger. Not your average understanding of anger. I'm aware of that, and I think that Ayurveda's perspective is worth integrating with the ways that you already understand anger. So behaving righteously is a noble intent, right? It's a beautiful, heart-centered intention to want to be the best person that you can be. But passion for righteousness has to be approached in a way that sets righteousness as a goal, but also keeps you focused on the small actions that you're doing to move toward that larger goal. So that it's not like this grandiose, well, I'm just going to be this righteous, amazing person. It's these incremental actions of, I'm treating that person well, I'm treating this person well, I'm making the best decision I can to feed the good in this situation. So asking yourself, are your moment to moment actions aligned with this bigger goal? And remembering that it's a marathon, not a sprint. And it's not like you get to be righteous and then you're done. You cross the finish line. It's an ongoing process that you're going to be in for the rest of your life. And life will probably keep throwing you, curveballs and challenges to keep you on your toes with it. So in short, I know this may seem like a little bit of a more heady Facebook Live than I usually do. So yeah, some of you might be like, what? But in short, the essence of what I'm saying is don't be obsessed with results, aka also known as getting your way. Don't be obsessed with getting the outcomes that you want. One of the seminal texts in Ayurveda and in Vedic thought, Vedic philosophy that really deals with mental health and the mind and sattva, rajas, and tamas is the Bhagavad Gita. And the main point of that book, of that beautiful treatise, is to renounce the fruit of your actions, to let go, do your dharma, do what you feel like you need to do, the work that is yours to do. Do that in a way that aligns with your innermost essence, and turn it over to the divine. Let the results be what they're going to be. You're not in control of that. You're in control of you and your actions. So this is an invitation to move in that direction in an effort to cultivate peace within yourself and around you. If you do become obsessed with the results of your actions, it can lead you towards self-defeat and set you on a path toward anger. And one of the remedies for anger, I'm going to talk at the end about how you can get a bunch of remedies for anger, but one of the remedies for anger is compassion. That integrating that emotion into your way of being is an essential ingredient for avoiding anger. To attempt to understand the person on the other side, or the action, the activity on the other side of what you're angry about, and to have compassion for that, which is by no means easy many times, and doesn't mean that you shouldn't. I'm not meaning to imply like, oh, okay, yes, let me just think about where they're coming from and allow them to continue being violent or, committing some crime or something. It's not necessarily that you lay down in defeat with compassion, but that you invite compassion into your understanding so that you don't just become fueled by anger. Along with your mental outlook, there's also a biological component to anger from an Ayurvedic perspective. And while everyone has the potential to be angry, it's one of the major emotions, some folks are more prone to it. And I'm looking at you, Pittas. You know who you are. So anger is a hot and sharp emotion, and it's associated with the fire element. So these are all things that are very similar to Pitta. Pitta is associated with the fire element, and Pitta is hot and sharp. So how does hot and sharp show up in the body? When you're angry, you're likely to feel warm to the touch. Your face might get a little bit rosier. You might get redder because your blood is really pumping. You might want to open a window or take off a layer. And in fact, it probably is a good idea to step outside and cool down, get some fresh air. If you start to feel like the room heating up with anger, to maybe bring in some coolness, turn on a fan or something. So physically, you can become hot and look hot. And this is because anger really fans the flames of your fire. But it's a two-way street. So just as your anger ignites your fire, If you already have a raging fire, as Pitta folks do, or often do, you're more prone to being easily angered. And if you're somebody who is angry already, you're more likely to get more angry more easily than someone who's calm. So once you get that fire going, you're more prone to flaring up even more. You're also more prone to anger when you're hungry, which is how we get this concept of hangry. Anybody know anyone like that? And that's because your digestive fire is raging. So you've got this strong fire going and you need to simmer it down. You need to put some food on it. But if you don't have a chance to, and somebody gets in your way of that or comes at you with an attitude or something challenging, it's much easier to snap in that kind of situation than after you've just eaten a nice hearty meal and you're well satiated. When anger takes hold of you, its sharpness can show up in a number of ways. And so you're more likely to be sharp-tongued and throwing words like, or maybe even punches, yikes. But throwing words like daggers and, just really saying some harsh things. You are more likely to feel on edge, harder to relax. Your thoughts may become fully focused on this issue at hand, so that it's really hard to concentrate on anything else. And it can become difficult to discern right from wrong when you're in this place of anger. Your perception is not what it should be, what it normally is. Also, inflammatory and ulcerative conditions are more likely to flare up with anger. So if you're someone who struggles with that, you really want to work on anger management. And you also may experience sharp pain as a result of these ulcerative and inflammatory conditions flaring up. So, those are some examples. This is by no means, I should have said this at the beginning, this is by no means a comprehensive discussion on anger, but these are some salient points about anger, some interesting perspectives on anger that come from Ayurveda that I think are useful. And so like I said, each of the major emotions is seated in one of the major organs, and anger is seated in the liver. So this means there's a correlation between anger and liver health. And when the liver is stressed, anger is more likely to rear its head. So what makes the liver stressed? You might want to know. I could go on about that for hours, and in fact, I will. So I want to invite you to my Love Your Liver workshop that I'm going to be holding on Friday, May 10th from 12 to 2 p.m. Eastern Time. And you can join me to discover how the liver works, signs of a healthy liver, signs of liver imbalance, causes of liver imbalance, and how to support the liver holistically with diet, lifestyle, and herbs to either return to a state of balance or to maintain optimal health. You can, and this understanding and approach will also support anger management, because what soothes the liver also is going to soothe anger. You'll have a chance at the end to ask questions, and you can also submit questions ahead of time. This event will be recorded, so if you're not able to attend live, no worries, you can watch the recording, and you can submit questions that you have ahead of time that I can add, that I'll be doing. So, don't worry if you're not there. Sorry, I don't know what's going on. And a little electrical outage, it seems like. And the workshop is only $27. It'll be recorded. All participants will have access to the recording for 90 days after. And I will drop the link to register in the comment below. So I hope to see you there. I hope this was helpful. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to share them in the comments below too. Thanks so much for tuning in.